Good evening and welcome to the Monday, November 10th, Maplewood City Council Manager Workshop. City Clerk Sint, would you do the roll call for us, please?
Councilmember Lee.
Present.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Here.
Councilmember Cave.
Here.
Councilmember Juniman.
Here.
Mayor Abrams.
I'm here as well, thank you. Council members, is there a motion to approve our agenda?
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Cave, the motion to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? I have some. Since we have such a large crowd here tonight, I'm going to suggest that we switch around E1 with D1, since we have a crowd full for the swearing-in ceremony, and we're going to spare you, it'll be a scintillating discussion about the why, and we're really happy to have that, but you probably are focused on other things. So, council members, I'm going to suggest as a friendly change, switch E1 with D1. Any other discussions? Okay, then it's been moved and seconded with that change from E1 to D1. Is there, let's take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. So we're going to go right into the swearing-in ceremony. Chief, this is your topic tonight. We have two sergeants that we're going to swear in.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members, distinguished guests, and members of the Maplewood Police Department and Public Safety. Tonight, we gather to celebrate one of the most meaningful milestones in any law enforcement officer's career, the promotion from the rank of officer to sergeant. This swearing-in ceremony represents not only the recognition of hard work and dedication, but also the beginning of a new chapter in leadership and service. The rank of sergeant is one of the most, if not the most, critical positions within any police department. I've often said that the first-line supervisor is the backbone of our agency. They are the steadfast link between command and the men and women who serve on the front lines every day. Sergeants stand closest to those who actually do the work, and often side by side with them. They are the ones who set the tone for what the agency stands for. When officers face uncertainty or challenge, it is often the sergeant who provides the clarity, the guidance, and the support. The stripes or chevrons worn on the sleeves of a sergeant carry a rich history. The chevrons trace their origins back hundreds of years to European military tradition, long before modern policing ever existed. The word sergeant comes from the Latin term serviens, which fittingly translates to the ones who serve. When organized police forces emerged in the 1800s, their rank structure and insignia were modeled after those in the military. The chevrons were a mark of honor and leadership, which remains true today. It is a visible reminder that the wearer had earned both the privilege and the responsibility to lead others. It is therefore following this rich tradition that these promotions come with tremendous responsibility. Our sergeants are not just expected to know policy and know procedure, but also to apply them effectively. I expect our sergeants to exhibit calm in the face of crisis, fair in judgment, and demonstrate courage in decision-making. As they lead their crews, they must balance compassion with accountability and also possess the wisdom to see potential in others, even when those individuals can't see it yet for themselves. I have seen firsthand how the influence of a sergeant can shape a young officer's entire career, and by extension, the culture and the future of an entire organization. I believe that Officer Salchow and Officer Leonards have earned this promotion to sergeant because they have demonstrated the qualities I value the most: integrity, leadership, empathy, and a steadfast commitment to the mission of Maplewood Public Safety. They have proven their ability not only to perform the job, but more importantly, to lead others in doing it. Their success reflects not just personal achievement, but the collective strength of the Maplewood Police Department. Officer Salchow and Officer Leonards, this is your moment. The stripes you wear are more than just uniform decorations. They are a symbol of honor and leadership. You now stand in a position of influence. Influence to shape lives, influence to shape careers, and influence to strengthen the very foundation of our department. Lead with humility, act with courage, and never forget that leadership is above all about service. I have often said that department supervisors are the barometer by which we can measure our future. Madam Mayor and Council, if this holds true, then I can confidently stand before you this evening and say the future of Maplewood Police Department is bright. Our leaders are strong, our direction is clear, and our commitment to the community has never been greater. In closing, Officer Salchow and Leonards, we are proud of you. We are confident in your leadership, and we are grateful for your continued commitment to the city of Maplewood and its residents. You have earned your place. Now go out and make a difference. Madam Mayor and Council, please join me in congratulating Officer Salchow and Leonards, as well as their families, on their well-deserved promotions. At this time, Officer Salchow, formerly Badge 483, will be sworn in as Sergeant Salchow, Badge 383.
Just a quick note to friends and family, you are allowed to come forward and take pictures. This is the last chance you're going to get this photo. So please, if you want to get a good photo, step up now.
Raise your right hand. I, Connor Salchow, do solemnly swear
I, Connor Salchow, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Minnesota,
and of the state of Minnesota,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of Police Sergeant
of the office of Police Sergeant
in the city of Maplewood,
in the city of Maplewood,
in the county of Ramsey,
in the county of Ramsey,
and the state of Minnesota,
in the state of Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
I will never betray my badge or my integrity,
I will never betray my badge or my integrity,
my character, or the public trust.
my character, or the public trust.
I will always have the courage
I will always have the courage
to hold myself
to hold myself
and others accountable for our actions.
and others accountable for our actions.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor and Council, it is a tradition in law enforcement that the officer chooses somebody to pin on their badge for the first time, so.
It'll be my girlfriend, Emily. Top hole. Good evening, everybody. Madam Mayor, members of the council, city admin, and Chief Beardeman, I just wanted to start off by saying thank you for the opportunity to be promoted to police sergeant and to say a few words. It has been an honor to serve as a police officer for the city of Maplewood. It's a community that I grew up in, around, and I feel personally invested in and connected to. Many of my role models and those most impactful on me have been direct supervisors who took the time to invest in me, challenged me to pursue interests and utilize my strengths, and empowered me to face my weaknesses, learn from my mistakes, and get better. For that reason, I wanted to pursue the position of police sergeant, and I am honored and excited about the opportunity to invest in others and to have an impact on the performance, development, and the future of my peers and officers in the police department. Lastly, and most importantly, I want to say thank you to a number of people. Thank you to all of my peers and my direct supervisors through my time in the profession who played a role in my development. Thank you to my girlfriend Emily, my mom, dad, brother, sister, and my friends who have supported me. the promotion to police sergeant is not as much a reflection of me, rather a reflection of the investment and support of those around me. Thank you.
All right, at this time, Officer Leonard's badge 460 will be sworn in as Sergeant Leonard's badge 360.
I, Nicholas Leonard, do solemnly swear
I, Nicholas Leonard, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Minnesota,
and of the state of Minnesota,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of Police Sergeant
of the office of Police Sergeant
in the city of Maplewood,
in the city of Maplewood,
in the county of Ramsey,
county of Ramsey,
and the state of Minnesota,
state of Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
I will never betray my badge or my integrity,
I will never betray my badge or my integrity,
my character or the public trust.
my character or the public trust.
I will always have the courage
I will always have the courage
to hold myself and others
to hold myself and others
accountable for our actions.
accountable for our actions.
Congratulations.
Love you. Hello, everyone. First, I want to say thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council, city administration, and Chief Bearden for this opportunity and for your continued support. I'm grateful for the chance to serve as sergeant and to continue growing within the department. I've had the privilege of working alongside many dedicated and professional officers over the years, and I've learned a lot from them. I look forward to continuing the teamwork and learning from those around me in this new role. As a sergeant, I'm excited to guide and support our officers, helping ensure we perform at a high standard and serve the community with integrity and professionalism. Leading a crew means working together, setting clear goals, and making sure everyone has the support they need to do their job well and go home safely. I want to say a couple thank yous. I wanted to thank my mom for continued support during my time in this profession and for always being there for our family. I also wanted to thank my beautiful wife, Kayla, and my sons, Jace, Grayson, and Harrison, for the constant support and understanding throughout my career. I'm grateful for your support and everything you do behind the scenes. You've made sacrifices so I can do a job I deeply care about, and I truly appreciate it. Thank you all for this opportunity and for allowing me to continue serving the city of Maplewood in this new role.
We're gonna do pictures.
Chief. Yeah, right.
Parents who want to come in and take a picture, come up right behind this way. They're not looking at 7 different places. We do my camera first, and then we're going to go through there. You ready? All right, 3, 2. All right, who's up next? All right, right here. All right, then there you go. Anybody else? You're all to home. Thanks. Thanks.
You guys can all join us in the police department for some refreshments if you want, so just Lieutenant Steiner will leave it over there if you want. Let's stay for YMCA conversation.
Yep. I know. We're gonna have an interesting discussion.
The county made us aware this is a resolution for the abatement. They wanted the layout, so the content's the same, but I just wanted you guys to be aware, so it's.
Last man standing.
That is always such a fun time to swear in new staff, new sergeants tonight. Thank you, Chief, for that. Moving on, the next item on our agenda is the YMCA MCC discussion. And Mr. Darrow, you're going to tee this up for us.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We are delighted to have Katie Lowe and Ryan Klingeman here with the Y. They're back. They provided a letter that's in your council packet for tonight. This is an opportunity to hear from them on their thoughts into the future. And we wanted to just open this up for their conversation, for questions that you may have. We've highlighted that we anticipate bringing this item back for the council's discussion in the spring of next year as well. So I'll invite Katie and Ryan up to share some of their thoughts.
Thanks, Mike.
Good evening and welcome, and thank you for being so understanding about switching our agenda. You can understand. This will be a scintillating discussion, but
No worries. It might not be quite as celebration-oriented, but we'll do,
and there's
we're
no
gonna
cake
do our best.
afterwards.
Right. Well, thanks for having us, Mayor and Council. We're excited to continue conversation and answer any additional questions you might have. So I'm just going to hit a few of the highlights in the letter. And then, of course, Ryan has some things that we'd like to share about access. And then open it up to questions. So everyone's seen the letter, I assume. Of course, we're committed to a long-term partnership, really interested in partnership versus like a vendor relationship. And so would really like to dive in with everyone as appropriate about what that looks and feels like into the next cycle of this. Also, we're prepared to really assume all of the operational risks that come with operating the community center. We presented kind of a 5-year budget plan recently to Mike and team, and it's about a $500,000 deficit budget for us. Now, that might seem like a lot. That does include operational costs that we don't necessarily, they don't necessarily go away if we don't operate the community center. So they're shared costs, but it is, a risk to the Y. But we're willing to support that. What we're asking is if the council and the city would be interested and willing and able to then support all of the capital related costs to the building. Just to clarify, the operational budget does include some ongoing day-to-day maintenance type things and some major maintenance, but then no capital. And then the third paragraph in the letter speaks about the original agreement and how we would propose that in there it says that the Y can extend at its sole discretion the lease up to 2 60-month terms, basically if we want to. We would like to propose that we would like to take a more partnership-oriented approach to that. We're getting to the end of our agreement period, and we would not be interested in doing that like it says in the agreement, but just having additional conversation, really thinking about what that might mean for the city, talking through if it makes sense to do another 60-month, or if there's a shorter time period in order to really explore what's necessary to keep the community center open, if that's the wish of the city. So Then the next piece is really, would like to share a little bit about what we've thought a lot about access. And so Ryan's going to talk a little bit about what we're proposing for access.
Yes, so currently, as you guys may or may not be aware, we do have a Maplewood Adult City Employee membership perk, and that's a free adult monthly or annual for any adult city worker. And then we have discounted pricing for dual, family, those types of things as well. And so those numbers are currently as they are, we would bring into 2026 as well. And then we want to look at the community itself. So looking at different events that we currently have on the calendar annually, having them open and available for any Maplewood resident, free of charge for that day. I have a few dates, just looking at school days off, any events that we currently have that I could share with Joe to kind of share out to the community, get on the social media, those types of things as well. And then what we want to look at in 2026 here is rolling out for 4 guest passes per year per household of a Maplewood resident. So whether it's an individual, dual, family, they can have 4 passes for that household throughout the year of 2026. And all they would need is the Maplewood resident kind of ID. And then currently we have certain, obviously you know the rental spaces that we have, beautiful facility there. We have Y members get a 10% discount when they rent that space. And then nonprofits get 15% off, and then our team members get 20% off when renting that space. We would look at adding a 5% discount for any Maplewood resident as well, whether if they're not a member, they would still get a discounted price for any rental spaces.
So with that, would be happy to entertain any questions you have or clarify anything that we just said. And that all in kind of a proposal state, so would love your reactions to that, to anything we said.
We've got some lights coming on. Councilmember Cave is first.
Thank you for coming. There's a lot of stuff on the plate with the Y. I don't want to use super negativity, but it's almost like a money pit in my mind. It's for the citizens. They have to decide if that's what they want to use it for. There's $20 million is a lot of capital that we're asking our citizens if they want to put toward the Y. And why would they? What are the things they're, benefit going to get out of it? So that's kind of some of the questions we're doing right now. So we don't have those answers right now. If they're all for it, that's our constituents. So then we want to do what they want. So I think for me, a partnership would be a little more financial. Asking the Y to just give a little bit more. I'm looking for a partner that's going to take over more running it, dedicated to, if it's fixed up. There's things that we can talk about right now, but if you don't have everything, if you don't have the Y up to capacity, it's kind of hard to ask you to bring in all the money for banquets and things. But I think those are things those used to be huge money makers for people before. We have a kitchen that doesn't work anymore. So it really kind of throws out, wedding, catering, all that stuff there's a lot that's limited right now because of certain things. We had somebody come in and give us, the seriousness of things that are going on in there. And, the $20 million that we would invest would just bring the Y up to par. It doesn't improve it at all. So it's kind of like when we took our tour, it was sad to see so many things that are dilapidated. It's ours, we own it. Yep. And so that's ownership that we have for those years. So it's ours. It's a piece of property that we own. So we own watching and not, the past, 25 plus years having stuff not taken care of properly. So going forward, I think those are great things for 2026. You know, you brought up getting people engaged to maybe a family pass, so somebody will start coming in and seeing that it's got things to offer. Those are great ideas. But my big thing right now is just what do our citizens want to do, because it's a huge, huge investment just to get that thing up to par. And I would want it, if we were to have it, beyond par, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And we fully are aware and agree that,
Yeah.
right, like, this is what the Y can do. And now it really is up to you and the community to figure out what's possible and what really is the appetite of the community
Yeah.
to have this resource
Yeah.
in their backyard. Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I want to thank you for your presentation and for your partnership for all of these years. You know, we are, this is an important discussion amidst a much bigger discussion, as Councilmember Cave kind of alluded to. The building is it 37 years old or 36? 37? It's a 37-year-old building that is showing its age. And it needs some immediate attention, and which kind of brings us to a much bigger discussion about investing in the Y. I certainly believe, you know, from the citizen surveys that we have done, it is considered a very important asset in our community, and now we need to kind of chart the next course. Because it is, you know, from the report that we got, there's $20 million worth of, we're not even talking about upgrades or major changes. We're talking about replacement of some aging infrastructure, which, you know, is not uncommon. We live in Minnesota, and, you know, our weather and age is very hard on our buildings. So for the council, we're going to have some much bigger decisions. I certainly am encouraged by some of the things that you talked about tonight about discounts for families, a discount on using the space. You know, our employees have had memberships there for, I think, since the whole time that it's been here. But I like that idea. And then also having some Maplewood resident free days so that it really is then a community asset. You know, the decision, the council has some very challenging decisions ahead of us. We do, however, have some great options that our staff have brought to us, including the potential for a sales tax, since the Y really is a regional asset. It's used by many more people than just Maplewood residents. And so, you know, one of the benefits, I think, from a regional, from a sales tax perspective, is that then anyone spending any money in Maplewood is going to be supporting the Y, not just our residents. Because when we start looking at that $20 million price tag, I know council members, we probably cringe just a little bit, because we always have to then figure out, as the council, with the help of our staff, figuring out how are we going to pay for that. And some of those things have to be done sooner rather than later, just to simply make sure that we're providing a safe environment for everyone. So, you know, I appreciate that you're here. I'm glad that you are, that you have been partners with us. That has been very helpful for us. And you're going to continue to be part of the bigger discussion, because the bigger discussion, if our council were to go that route, you know, we're going to have a lot of moving pieces and a lot of processes to go through to figure out what is the future of the building according to what's best for our community, what our residents want to do, and then the bottom line is how to pay for that. So thank you for that, and I like some of these new ideas. I think it would really be a bonus to families to be able to have those 4 passes for the year, and then, you know, to hold events over there at a discount. So thank you for that. Councilmember Lee, you have some questions or comments?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the both of you coming tonight. And Ryan, since you've been over there, I think there's been a lot of good energy coming out of there so far. So I look forward to the work that you're going to be doing over at the YMCA over there. Being here tonight says a lot, and I think a couple keywords that you mentioned tonight, the partnership is critical. I think in anything that we do, I think that's the biggest component of it, is seeing what works for your organization and us. At the end of the day, I understand you guys are a business, and we want you guys to continue to be successful so you can continue to do the great work that you're doing. But at the same time, we're in the business of people. We're also in the business of service. We're looking at what makes sense for our constituents here, and the mayor and Councilmember Cave mentioned a lot of great things thus far, and that I also agree with. This is a big conversation that our community needs to take part of. And, my biggest component for this piece of it is that we refer to it as the Maplewood Community Center. What does that mean? I want to see us redefine what that component is, Ryan. And you mentioned many of the items. I want to see, I think this is a really good start. Personally, I want to see even more. I want to see, I want to see how we can work together to see and to really redefine what does that community center mean. When I think about a community center, I don't want it to be a community. I don't see it as a community center only on Tuesday. I want to be able to walk in there Monday through Sunday, and feel like it is my space. So how do we redefine that component? But one of my questions that I have is, you mentioned $500,000 deficit. Is that just for this particular YMCA, or is that regionally?
No, that is for this YMCA.
This is for the, okay.
Yeah, so it includes, so we split out our operating costs and our capital, and, and we have several different buckets, I'm sure, just like the city does. And the operational costs are about $500,000 deficit annually for this YMCA. Like I said, though, that we have a lot of shared services because of the scope of the 19 locations, et cetera, all the childcare sites and overnight camps and all of that. We split it out based on expenses. And so there's a central allocated expense, not to go into a ton of details, but that is for this YMCA specifically annually. But like I said, not all of that cost goes away if we no longer support the Maplewood Community Center. So that's a risk that makes sense for us and that we can navigate on an annual basis. Much easier than capital expenses. And so that's true across the board in all of our locations. And so that's what that's about.
Just a follow-up on that then. You mentioned something about a 5-year budget. Long-term plan, what does that look like? What is your long-term plan in terms of the financial component of it? And how long are you guys planning to be, right now without a contract? What are you guys projecting right now in terms of the being in business in Maplewood?
Well, we're going to be here as long as it makes sense to continue to support the community. So we just put together 5-year, because if you get much further than that, now we're really just throwing numbers into a spreadsheet. And so that's the only reason why it was only 5 years. When we say long-term, I think if we're looking at another agreement, we would be looking at another similar to agreement as far as timeline-wise, or longer, because I know that the financial commitment from the city to say, we're going to upkeep this, we're going to put this together, we understand that, and we would be interested in partnering to figure out then what does that look like to operate it. And we can build off of what it looks like today. And to some of your points, we can also do different. If access looks like everyone has access all the time, then let's talk about what that looks like and what we can both collectively financially and access-wise figure out, right? So we have put together lots of agreements across lots of cities and municipalities and et cetera. And it really does come down to who's in the room, what are the goals, what are the priorities of the people that we're serving, and then coming up with an agreement that makes sense with who's ever in the room. So I'm really interested in that and finding out what does the community want, and then trying to work with the city to figure out how to get that done.
Just a point for Councilmember Lee and anyone else on the council who was not on the council when the city of Maplewood was running the Y ourselves, that 500,000 was approximately the average amount that the city was underwriting the community center every year.
Yeah.
Some years it was a little bit less, maybe around 350,000, but there were some years, especially with big repairs, where it was considerably higher. So 500,000 is not an unknown number, and it is something that we experienced when we were running the Y.
Piece.
So.
Thank you for that, Mayor.
Just some historical
Thank you
information.
for that.
Do you have one more question?
I do have another, the best thing about working with YMCA and the partnership that you guys have is the name recognition that you have all over our country. Has there been any conversations or just thoughts from maybe the board members or at maybe the YMCA Corp or organization about potentially working with the city of Maplewood, running a capital campaign in helping support this effort? I mean, we are going to have the conversation about $20 million tax component. If that comes through, what can the YMCA contribute to that, and can that be a conversation?
We haven't had that conversation, also because this is the first time that it's been brought up in this context. So I'd be happy to have the conversation. I don't know where we would land on that. That is typically the harder piece for the Y, but that doesn't mean that we don't do it, right? We do it. So I can certainly go back and ask the question and see what the appetite is for what that looks like or what it could look like.
Thank you.
I mean, we're certainly willing and interested in partnering on, like, there's strength in a nonprofit and a municipality coming together. There are pockets of money that are available in partnership that strengthen because of some partnership like that. So.
And I brought it up because I think there's a unique story here in Maplewood that the Y can tell, and I'm sure the city can help work with you on telling that story of Maplewood. And I really see the potential of that becoming an anchor here in our city, a hub for everyone, hub for our community.
Thank you. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Thank you. First, I want to personally tell you thank you. Thank you for being a partner in Maplewood. What you do provide in Maplewood is imperative to our community. As a council member, my priorities are to really create a community center and a partnership with you where our youth of Maplewood feels welcome, and it can feel like that the Y North Community Center is a safe haven for them. I know there are many Maplewood children and probably now adults that have been going into that building since they were very little, including Councilmember Lee, and including my own daughter. And, so they, like Councilmember Lee, so they want to come in there every day and feel like it's their community center as well, and like they have for many years. And so, anything that we can do as a city and yourself as a partnership to build that, whether that's specific spaces that Maplewood residents, students are open to be able to be in. That's the kind of environment that I think we, as a city, really would like to prioritize. So again, thank you for everything you've done, and I really appreciate that you came and said this is a partnership, because that's what we want as well.
Good.
Any other comments, council members? Mr. Sable.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you to the Y for being willing to stand here and take questions and share your sort of vision. As we have talked about this, we know that the lease that we have expires at the end of 2026, and when you know something is coming, it's best to work ahead. So I want to say appreciation for Mike and the department heads and Joe and Steve and Danette for kind of organizing and assembling and corralling a team to kind of tackle this, because there are a lot of moving parts, and as you've heard me say over the course of the last year, there is a lot of information. It was the tour, it is the status of the building, it is the deferred maintenance costs, it is the operational challenges, it is the pool, it is the water that's leaking down the west side and damaging the gym floor. There's a lot of pieces, and we're trying to provide as much quality information that you can make the best decision that you can. We did do some analysis in partnership with the University of Minnesota on what would a potential sales tax generate in Maplewood, and what percentage of that money would come from both residents and non-residents. And so happy to report that I got that report today delivered. So I'm going to send that out to to everyone, and we will entertain a very brief workshop at our next meeting where we'll kind of present that information. I know that's the Monday before Thanksgiving holiday, so it won't be a very long one, but I did want to say that we'll get some analysis in there. The mayor mentioned earlier that we have the survey data that talks about, what was the community perspective. But I do know that any conversation that we have about what the Y could potentially offer Maplewood residents is going to require some robust community engagement. And I'll say two things. The most recent example of a robust engagement that worked really well was the ponds discussion. There was more outreach and engagement, I think, on that project than probably any other that I'm familiar with. It resulted in a pretty successful outcome in terms of, I don't think there was anything that you missed in terms of data. And so as we think about what the next 5 months looks like, we're going to have to build some element of engagement with community members and probably use, I'm sure the Y has a whole engagement team at the headquarters in the mothership that could probably help us. I'm hoping that that's something that seems like you would do pretty consistently. The other thing I wanted to at least point out is if there is a desire to have a next conversation about what the facility could look like, I think it's important that we engage with an architect, not on a full-scale redesign of a building, but at least talk to us about what's possible. And so that's one of my takeaways in terms of the next step is I think the next batch of information is really more community perspective, and then what's possible from an architectural standpoint, because they could walk in and say, well, there's no redesign that's going to make any sense, and you should just start over. That's sort of the one extreme example. Or it could be, oh yeah, well, we can do these 4 things, and we would ballpark it to cost Y.
Yeah.
No pun intended. I should have said X. But I do think there's a little bit of more information that's needed, and so I think if there's a general head nodding, we will keep it under the threshold for a city manager authority to enter into an agreement with an architect so we can kind of have that next level of conversation. So I'm seeing general head nods, so
Yes.
I appreciate that level of clarity. So, and also just, again, I want to thank Mike Assistant City Manager Darrow for putting all this together. There's a lot of moving parts, and so it's been a good partnership, and I appreciate your willingness to come and talk to us. I'll just say there's also a sub-agreement that you have with a theater company. Can you just share generally what that agreement says and sort of what your time horizon is with that discussion?
Yes, so that lease agreement is up in May. And so we have talked just recently, I don't know that we've talked to the theater yet, but our plan is to speak with them and extend their lease to coincide with ours, our overall agreement. And so hopefully give them some breathing room that, they'll be in there and operating through October. And then that gives us and this, you all some time to gather more information and make decisions. And both of us runway then to create what's next after March, if that continues to be the timeline. So we'll be working with them on that. So status quo until further notice. And of course, we'll work with the city on if there are any roadblocks or hiccups in that space so that we're in lockstep as we talk to the theater.
I really appreciate your comment about Ashland and kind of making that parallel to your own agreement so that we're in the process, as you could tell, collecting a lot of information and looking at many, many options, and certainly bringing in engagement with our community about what they see as the future of the Y, because that's going to be an absolutely critical piece. And Mike, thank you for highlighting that, because, we need that input in order to make good decisions. And I think this council has been very good at looking at large volumes of information that our staff put together for us in a way that we can all understand it so that we can ultimately make the best decision for our community going forward on what's the best thing that we can do for the community center that is going to benefit our community. So Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. One other thing I wanted to throw out there as we're looking at collecting all of this information, you know, council members, we had that report on the things that needed to be done now, the safety issues, those kinds of things. I'm going to throw out one other piece that I've been thinking about. And Mr. Love, I can still see when we did the tour, the video that you showed me with the water leaking into the basketball court. You know, we have some very big things ahead of us, and we are going to work our way through those. But one thing I was thinking about is that, you know, there aren't that many people playing basketball the same way they did 37 years ago. And so I'd like to throw out there that we start thinking, because council members, we need to think about this creatively. We need to be very intentional about it. We need to base our decisions based on the facts and on the input of our community. But if I don't want to go forward and just replace, I think it's, you know, with all of the work, I think the figure that you gave us was about $1 million for the floors and the remediation outside. I don't want to just sink in $1 million and do 4 basketball courts again. That doesn't seem to make much sense, and it doesn't seem to be a great investment. Whereas that type of area makes most sense to explore it. I don't know, this is not my area of expertise, but is this an opportunity to bring in, or to replace that, since we're repairing it anyway, we have to do that, with pickleball courts? Indoor pickleball courts, is that something, or is there some other use that can be brought in, maybe keeping one of the basketball courts? Because from what I have seen, the times that I'm over there, people aren't playing basketball, they're having a class in there instead. So looking at that, we need to be creative about it now, because, you know, we are going to be required to put some money into the building. The only question is, how much and when, and what does that look like? So I'd like to start throwing that out, that we start thinking about other things, creative ideas on how we might use that. And I certainly would like to engage, certainly hear from your perspective about possible new uses, but also hear from our community about possible new uses for that space. Because why would we replace 4 basketball courts that aren't being used anyway? So anyway, that's just a thought, that let's throw that in. We might as well get some information on that too. Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick question about the theater company. In your sublease with that company, are there any capital expenditure requirements that you have with the organization at all?
Oh, now you're putting me on the spot. There is some language in there about it. There's a lot of wiggle room in it. What we know is that there are some, especially with the seating, there are some, you all saw, right? There are some repairs and some things that need to be done. We also know that seating is typically custom built, and you can't just replace one-off things. So as we talk about what the space use is going to be, that should be a part of the discussion as well, to really think through how that space is used and, you know, just what makes the most sense for the community.
Okay, thank you.
Since you brought up the seats, I can't overlook the fact that social media is reporting that Lori Line is doing a Christmas concert at the Maplewood Community Center in the Ashland Theater. And I hope
I didn't know that.
What?
I said I didn't know
That's
that.
what
But
social
not that
media
I
is
would
reporting.
necessarily.
And I saw it on social media, so therefore it must be true.
It must be
right?
true. It must be true.
But you normally don't see that kind of thing on social
Yeah.
media unless there is some truth and validity to that. But, you know, my immediate question was those seats. You know, just a thought. You may want to look into that. You know, she's a pretty big, for those people who like jazz, Lori Line is, you know, she's been around for a long time. And
Yeah, there's not a whole lot that can be done right now with the seats. We have taken different parts from other seats that we have gotten, we've done all that we sort of can in that
Okay.
space. We need an overall different plan.
Councilmember Cave.
Just one comment. What you said about the possibility of not using all the basketball and doing this. My question is that something that an architect can do? Because I want to make sure that we get then Mike, the right architect that's a little more than just a basic architect, one that can give us ideas of future. So can we look at somebody who's got a little more than just?
That's a very
Can you
good
do-
point, and I agree. It's something that, what are some ways that we could use that
Yeah.
space? Because the old
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
is 37 years old, and it doesn't really meet the needs of our community
So maybe there's
today.
cities who've used good architects before that.
Right.
That would be, okay.
And definitely not the ones that we had before.
Yeah.
Mr. Darrow, the ones who did the building, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I apologize, Mayor. I had my math wrong. We're coming up on 34 years, not
34
37
years.
yet.
It's, okay, 3 years, it's 3 years younger. Well, then, it's really showing its age. It looks like it's older than that. Okay, Mr. Sable, did you have one last thing?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I appreciate the perspective on architects, that they're in a community just to our east. They just had a grand opening that was highlighted in the Pioneer Press. So the City of Woodbury did a Central Park sort of building that connected a couple of other of their buildings. They used a local architect that has done community centers, and so we'll do some research on who might be a good fit for what's available to us.
I mean,
Now
we
is
ha-
a good time to do that.
Sorry. We also have maybe some internal expertise that we could, if you're interested, lend to sort of the conversation at least. And that Central Park building is connected to the YMCA in Woodbury, so we would have probably some thoughts on that too.
Good enough. Thank you very much. And council members, that, we have concluded our agenda for the workshop. So with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.